talk?
Yeah.
Let's hear. Why don't you tell me where we are right now, just so I could settle up?
We're in Salisbury, North Carolina.
We certainly are. What's your address?
It's 375 Vineyard Drive.
Okay. My parents' address is 373, and the house is very similar. Doesn't mean anything, but what the hell, right? Okay, and who are me and Cindy talking to?
Talking to Charlie Jordan.
My father,
Okay, and you are?
Cindy Chattin.
It's just for the benefit of the tape.
Okay.
And Cindy, tell me where you live, just so I could set a good level for that.
Okay, I live at 315 Ashbrook Road in Salisbury.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, cool. Okay, we were just talking about the Mill Village in Coolomay,
Right.
and you were just starting to tell me.
Some of the things that the company did to the people.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing, you didn't have to worry about the law when, like, I got a group of us got caught stealing peanuts. Well, they didn't go to get the law to get us. Our fathers, on Monday morning, were called into the superintendent's office, and he chewed them all out. And the one other thing had happened, the company owned all the houses, and a man's young daughter got pregnant, and she wasn't married. They not only fired the man, the daughter's father and mother, but they run them out of Coolomay. Made them move out of their home and everything else. Everything was in a mill village was controlled by the superintendent of the plant. A man would go out on a weekend, get drunk. The superintendent would have him in the office on Monday morning, chewing him out. And I don't remember very few ever getting fired, but it was a scary thing to have to go to the superintendent's office. And if you wanted to, the houses were all controlled by the superintendent. If you got to rent a house, you had to go through him. If he wanted to let you have one, he did. And really the superintendent had more power than the plant manager. That's the main things that I do remember. Now this was before union, and it caused the union to start coming in there, start working, such things as this. The biggest thing that brought the union in our plant was when they put this, what they call a stretch-out system on. Started adding more work to people. And another thing, there were no blacks worked inside the plant. All blacks worked on an outside force.
What, like groundskeepers and things?
Groundskeepers, unloading cotton.
Did they ever, when we had this discussion in Georgia, there were people telling about companies threatening the people if they went out on strike that they would give their jobs to the black people.
No.
Did they ever do that?
No.
They didn't.
I think that was a common threat, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been reading accounts of this in the newspapers.
That did not happen there.
I don't know if it ever happened. It was a real threat.
Well, the one thing that they did on strike that it was unusual for the Irving chain to really say mistreat people. But it was strike in, I don't remember what year it was, but I was in supervision. My father was too.
Okay, so this is, now you're talking in the 40s after the war.
Yes, and they made me bring my wife in to work, and made my daddy bring my mother into work in the plant. Plus, we had to go in to work instead of doing our clerical work, or we had to go in and actually do running the looms and spinning frames and so forth.
This was during the strike.
Yes. They actually operated, they tried to operate what they could with the supervision and clerks and so forth, plus their wives and family.
Now, had your wife worked in the mill before?
Yes, she worked in the mill. Now, she was working and belonged to the union.
While you were a supervisor?
Yeah.
And the company let her do that?
Yeah, and well, I think they later made them get out of the union, but they didn't to start with. I believe my mother belonged to the union too. And
If your mama belonged to the union then, do you think she belonged to the union during the 30s?
yes, I'm
Cindy, did you know that?
No.
I'm pretty sure she did, but I'm not. By my daddy being a supervisor, I'm not positive.
See, I always figured, you know, with my family being in supervision, they were all anti-union, you know. The company, whether they liked the union or not, the company didn't allow it. You know, I figured that's just the way it was.
Back then, the union was a great thing. There's no doubt about that.
Why is that?
Because it really took people out of white slavery. You might as well say they were dominated. Millville's were dominated by the superintendent of the plant. Which you just didn't do anything without his okay. And by the company owned the houses, and the rent was only $1 a week, $1 a room, and it was taken out of your check. They had a company store where you buy your groceries, clothing, appliances. It was a complete store. It had everything in it. And they did not have prices jacked way out of line. Their prices were fair as they were at other places. And
Did your family purchase all their goods at the company store?
they did in the 30s, yes. Because that was about the only store around, to tell you the truth.
And did they actually pay with money?
They paid off in cash. And they did not take grocery bills and such as that out of your
So
money
you
that you made. You paid it yourself.
I see. Which is different than in a lot of other companies.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And they took the rent out of your pay too. Your pay was cash, and it was an envelope to tell you how much you made and what was taken out, what was deducted.
Now, do you know how your family came to get to Coolumay?
Don't have any idea. Do you?
No.
Because weren't they both like born up in Dobson, up in that area?
No. As far as I know, mother came from up around Dobson. I forgot where Daddy came from.
Do you know when they moved to Coolumay?
No, it was before my time.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Now, did your daddy start off as a real mill worker?
Yes,
That you know about.
yes.
Can you tell me and Cindy about that a little?
Well, he started off as he was a dolpher. He dolphed spinning frames. And then he made a fixer. And of course these jobs lasted over periods of years, the 2 jobs. And when he, like I told you, when he started helping organize the union, they made a supervisor out of him. So he had to get out of the union work.
What did he do did he go around to like people's houses and things, or did he?
They were actually organizing in the plant and outside the plant. And Daddy was, and my cousin was one of the ringleaders in organizing that union. He's the man that throwed one of the industrial engineers out of the window down there.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Radford Cope.
Really?
He's deceased.
Yeah. I'd like to have talked to him.
Did you know that?
I didn't know all this stuff. I really didn't. I'm just.
You're looking pretty amazed.
Yeah, because like I told you, I figured they were all antis. Every one of them. So I'm just amazed.
I don't know. Dale says that my brother is anti-union, but I am not, because I realize what the union did for the people in Cooley.
Yeah. You know, Mama was talking one time about taking her daddy's lunch to work and stuff. You remember ever having to do that?
Yeah.
Took it in like what'd you take it in, like a pail?
No, paper bag or pail, either one.
Mm. Did they come out, did you go into the mill?
No,
or what?
no. They came to the fence.
Mm.
See, the plant itself was completely fenced in. And they had a watchman on the main entrance.
So you'd leave school to bring your daddy's lunch?
No. I don't really remember us having to take it to him. I don't know. See, they worked 10 hours a day, I believe it was. And I don't know whether they had 2 shifts or not. And Daddy might have taken his own lunch, I'm not sure.
Could you tell us a little more about your daddy's organizing?
No, I just know he was a strong union man. And the plant manager made him the supervisor.
Now, during the 34 strike, what was your daddy's job?
He was the fixer. Spinning frame fixer.
In 34.
Mm-hmm.
Was that when he was put out on the dam, or was that in the 40s?
That was in the 30s. He had a little 32 pistol, and they actually carried their guns with them.
Is that the one you got now?
No.
Oh.
I don't know what happened to that gun.
Oh. What?
You know, I think that there's a lot of discussions we could have, but I want some of them to be fresh when we get together next. So I'm going to hold my questions. Now, did your lifestyle change some when your daddy became...
Yeah. We were probably... Our family was probably better off than a big majority of the families. Plus my mother worked too. I'd say we really had it tough till my mother went to work. And
when did you steal the peanuts? Before she went to work or after?
yeah, before.
Did y'all have to move when Papa became a supervisor?
No. We still lived on the main street there.
Yeah. I remember Mama were telling me about, each street represented a different class of people.
It did.
I just wondered, if just a fixer lived on one street, and maybe when you became a
That's
supervisor,
what-
you moved to another street.
See, the superintendent of the plant put the people kind of in their classes. If they're a little bit of low class, they put them on Duke and Watt Street. And if they're a little bit better class people, they put them on Main and Davie and Irvin and so forth.
Cindy, you probably want to know, like I do, what makes somebody low class and high class.
Yeah. Was it your job classification, or
Well,
or just what the superintendent
what
wanted
the
you to be?
superintendent thought. And they were, maybe it was education, or some of them had practically no education. Of course, my daddy didn't. He only had 5 or 6 years schooling, but he wasn't considered a low class because we lived on Main Street.
Now, what do you think initially made your father stand out so that the super would put him on Main Street?
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Do you think he thought maybe all along he was supervisor material, or?
He probably did.
Yeah.
But I don't know. A lot of it was where you had a lot of children, like families with 5 and 6 children and so forth. See, they had different size houses too. Some of the 2-story houses had families 6 and 8 children. But I can't really say how that superintendent figured out the classes. But like the people that lived on Deep would say, "Oh, that guy lives on Main Street." There was a class feeling in it. And so we had no colored lived in Cooley. All the black people lived in what they call North Cooley. They actually lived in shacks. I had one that worked for me that was sick once, and I went up to his house, and you could actually see cracks, see the outside, sunlight outside. And then the company came, they built about 12 or 15 houses on one street where they put some colored, well, they call them colored people in, now they call them black, I think. But really, the black were not mistreated. Their jobs, I know they were outside, but they might have been as good a jobs as we had, and they made the same money too.
Made the same money?
Yeah.
That's
I mean, they had we had no supervisors of colored people. There's none. And
Well, who directed that workforce?
Bud Alexander,
What was he?
he was the overseer of the what they call it, overseer of the outside.
Oh, okay.
You know this man?
Yeah. He's dead, right?
Mm-mm.
That's Mike's
Oh.
daddy.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
he's
the
that old black-headed man.
Okay. I was thinking about the other one. What's his name? He had 2 children, Tony and
Dory? No, not Dory. Jim.
Jim. Now he's passed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's who I was thinking about. Yeah, I know him. I went to school with his son.
Now, do you recall, I know you were just 11, but maybe you could tell us a little bit so I have an idea for the future. Tell us a little bit about that strike, what you do recall, how it started.
I think I told you most that I remembered, that the people that worked in the plant had to help guard the place. plus they called in the National Guard. And that's the two main things that I remember about it. I don't remember a lot other about it. Now they may, I think, after you said some of them did come in, I think a group did come in from Kannapolis. But when they seen the National Guard, they turned around and went back. And they actually had set up and had machine guns set up in the mill yard.
What'd you think about that as a little boy?
Yeah, it was exciting.
I bet it was. Couldn't imagine.
And one of my cousins married one of the National Guards while he was there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she met the National Guard while he was there in 34?
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
It's Alice, yeah.
I've been looking to talk to somebody from the National Guard real bad.
But he's not. She's still living. She lives somewhere out on the other side, up above the country club there.
Really?
Mm-hmm. What's that last name?
I think Mama would know.
Mm-hmm. Athey.
Athey?
I think that's it. I can remember what happened 40 years ago, but I can't remember how much insulin I took this morning.
You diabetic?
Yes.
Do you remember taking it?
Yeah, I took
Okay,
it.
that's the important, that's the important thing.
That's right.
Just keep on taking it. Just don't take too much. So she met a National Guardsman during the strike?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was there.
Yes.
And she married him later on.
Yes.
He wasn't doing his job. Was it? He
Don't sound like
was
it was.
busy, yeah.
Well, Ray's still there. He'd remember it.
Ray Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's his sister.
Yeah. Let's see, he still lives up in Edgewood.
Mm-hmm.
Is he retired now?
Yeah. He's anti-union too.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he.
I wonder if he talked to us.
He's hard shell Baptist.
Yeah.
What's a hard shell Baptist?
They don't believe in nothing.
Do they believe in Baptist?
They believe it. They think that's the only thing hard Baptist. That's the only one's going to be in heaven, the Baptist.
Make room for me. I'm sorry. You gotta take me in there. Well, look. I mean, I think we're real open and want to talk to everybody. So, and I hope. I mean, you know, we want everybody's point of view because that's what makes something interesting. If you
Yeah.
only have one point of view, what have you learned? You know.
No.
You learned one side of the
You
story.
learn one side of the story, and it's not enough.
Yeah.
So, your cousin, you don't remember her name?
Alice.
Alice.
Alice Athey.
Athey.
Uh-huh. A-T-H-E-Y, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's.
And you don't know if her husband's still alive.
He is not.
He's
But now there's another cousin that maybe we could see up in Coolmy, her brother.
right, yeah. And Alice, where does she live?
She lives here in Salisbury somewhere.
She might be an interesting person to talk to
Yeah.
because she was a teenager then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be real fun.
Yeah.
So she's
Let's
probably.
look her up.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get a hold of her.
Okay. Okay.
Get-
Now what you gonna
Get ready to tell you.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'll go by and see.
Now-
I'll call him from Mama's.
Okay.
Now, your daddy must have been in a real conflict, huh?
No.
No?
What do you mean conflict?
Because he was a union man, right?
Yeah.
Then the strike came.
He was looking out for Daddy.
Yeah.
Of course, he really didn't have any choice. Once they offer you something, you have to take it. And like if they come up and say, we're going to make a supervisor out of you tomorrow you was a supervisor or you didn't have a job. You had to do what they said.
Oh.
You didn't. Back then, you had no choice, but what they said, you did.
And when do you think they made him a supervisor?
It was I don't know what year it was. Mother may remember, but I
But it
doubt
was
it.
before 34.
No.
Oh, what?
See, they were really trying to organize Cool Me
Yeah,
in 44,
right.
43, 4, along in there. Because they were trying to organize it while I was in service, really. No, I didn't either, because I joined the Union before I went in service. I'm wrong on that. I belonged to the Union before I went in the Navy in 40.
Okay, now your daddy, you said, during the 34 strike, when you were 11,
Yeah.
right? They gave him a gun.
No, he had his own gun.
Yeah, oh, okay.
He had his own gun. And he would go up and stand guard at the dam, the Coolmey Dam that belonged to the Irving Mills, so that nobody could bust the dam where they would lose their water. Actually, Coolmey's water came from there too, the whole town of Coolmey. So the company furnished the water, and back then they gave you so much of your power, so many kilowatts per room was free. And your power was taken out of your pay. But nothing ever happened to my father that nobody ever came around the dam or anything to try to do any damage.
So was he going to work at that time, or he was just on the dam all day long?
He would work, and then he would be on that.
Now, this is when he's a fixer.
I'm not sure. He was either a golfer or a fixer. And Mama's 84. She may remember a lot of this stuff. I'm not sure. She probably remembers more than I do.
I was just asking if he was conflicted, because you'd said that he had tried to do some organizing in the plant, that he was pro-union.
Well, he wanted the union in there, and there's no doubt about that. But after they made him a supervisor, he had no choice but to get out of the organizing the union.
Right, but that's what I'm asking is, at the time of his strike in 34, sounds like he wasn't a supervisor yet.
No, I don't believe he was.
So that's all. I was just interested to know if that was a conflict for him to take up that gun in 34, even though he did want the union.
No, he must not been a supervisor at that time. I really don't remember when he made supervisor.
Well, I guess, the way it sounds, they really don't give you any choice. They tell you what to do, and you either do it or you don't have a job.
Yeah.
Even though he wanted the union in there, they say you take your gun and you go stand guard on the dam. Or he didn't work.
Right.
So they didn't have any choice. Is that right?
Right.
And you grew up knowing that there was no choices, huh?
Yeah. Mhm. But see, when I went to work, of course, it's still in the 40s, I was trying to go to school and work too. I finally had to, I liked half a year of completing high school. And then I went in service in December of 41. And when I came back, my job was there, if I wanted it. Even though the strike was going on, we still had our 90 days to take our job back. The same job that we had when we left.
Those who went to service.
Right.
Okay. And this Alice Athey, when she met this National Guardsman, was that, you think, in the 40s or in the 30s?
That, I think, was in the 30s.
Because she's older. Huh?
Yeah, she's older than I am. She must be. She's about in the mid 70s, I believe.
All right. I'm going to turn this off now.
Okay.
Now, what's your schedule? What's your schedule like? I mean, I'm hoping that my crew is going to show up tonight, and then maybe tomorrow we could all go to Coolmey together. Would that be fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any old photographs?
No,
Does your mama?
I doubt it because we did not have a camera then. No. That's one reason there's no pictures around. 'Cause very few people could afford a camera.
Do you remember ever seeing anyone take pictures in Kulamay?
Mm-mm. Do not.
Except for that man who made that movie?
Yeah. The only one.
And did everybody, Kulamay just existed for that mill, I imagine?
Yes.
That was the only industry.
Yes.
All right, well, we learned a whole bunch today.
I did.
Great, so we'll have a lot of good things to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Remember the date now, but I know we was on strike.
That's what the rambling, I forget what they call those people, that they were traveling around from textile plant to textile plant and trying to get the ones that weren't closed. And this one was not closed, not in 34. When he's talking about, that's when the National Guards came here.
Yeah, National Guards came here.
Keep them from closing, right?
And overseers, their wives and their families had to go in and work.
Not them, Mother, not in
My
34.
husband was
Mother,
not an overseer, but what you call him?
it wasn't in 34 now. That was a later strike that you had to go in because Daddy was a supervisor,
Yeah,
and Nell had to go in because I was in.
yeah.
That was
Clerk.
about 1950 or somewhere along
Yeah, that was long around
That's after
50.
we came out of service.
In
But I don't
34,
remember no 34 strike.
They did not. They did not strike. They
Yeah.
did not close the plant down because Daddy had his gun. He had to go up and help guard the dam up here, son. That was before they got the National Guard here.
Yeah.
They had that little old 32 pistol.
Well, I know I went in under National Guard and
Yeah.
worked, and it was called a scab.
Is that right?
Yes.
The scab was, real scab was when they made Daddy bring you in to work.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's when Daddy's brother and all of them stood down there and called everybody scab.
I walked through a whole line of strikers standing outside the gate, and I walked through by 'em. I was called a scab.
That's what they called people then. They call them scabs when they go in and work.
They still do.
They still do call
I
them
reckon they still do.
that. Yeah.
Let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing.
Okay.
I'm working on a project, a film project, that's being supported by different councils, arts councils in the different southern states. And what they want us to do is to make a film that looks at the history of the textile industry during the 30s and to really look at that period of time. And so I've been traveling to different parts of the country, of the South. I was just in Georgia, and now I'm just starting in North Carolina, talking to people that worked in the mills, and to learn from them what happened during the 30s, what happened when Roosevelt came in, what happened when out during the NRA, and basically we really want to get a sense of that period of time and look at it, because a lot of historians have never looked at it before. And the most exciting thing for us is to work with people like Cindy, because they're working in the industry right now and they have family like you who've been through it. So that's what we're doing. And I generally work with a number of people, 3 other people. We have a video camera and a big tape recorder, and we make videotapes of these kind of discussions. And I met Cindy a couple of weeks ago, and after talking with her and she told me about the family, I thought you'd be the perfect people for me to come and talk with.
I'll tell you what I can.
Okay, well what I'd like to do is,
That's somebody.
Do you remember when you started working in the mill?
Yes, I was 14 years old.
What year was that?
I don't know the year now,
Oh,
but
okay.
I was 14 years old, and they had child labor law. I had to come out at 8 hours. I couldn't work. I was running 10 hours a day. I had to come out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I couldn't work 10 hours. I had to work 8 hours. I had to come out at 4 o'clock because I wasn't 16.
What were you doing then?
I started in the cloth room, tacking. And I stayed in the cloth room till I got married, which was, I was 15. And then I got a transfer to the spinning room, where I worked 50 years.
Was that right down here?
Yes. Right
On the
down
third
there.
floor.
And if there's anything else I can tell you.
What was it like? I mean, how did the company treat you?
Oh, they treated us all right then.
Did
Yeah, it was working for Irving. They treated us all right.
Did you have like a company store and that kind of thing?
No,
No?
no.
You did.
All the stores and everything was down here. I can tell you all the stores that was here. And there was a theater where the warehouse is. As you go down towards the race, there used to be an old theater there. We used to show pearl white movies, silent movies. And they was continued. And we had to go every week to see what happened the week before.
Who owned it?
Mother, they had a company store. All of that belonged to the company down there.
Well,
Old Man Everhart, Hoover, and them all worked for the company.
Well, they
was a
called it-
company-owned store.
they called it J and Ledford Store.
That's right. It was called Ledford, but it was owned by the company.
Well, I don't know who it was owned by. I was run by J and Ledford.
Yeah, the company owned it. You charge, if you wanted to, you charged groceries.
Yeah, you
now.
charge groceries.
They did not take it out of your pay. You paid it yourself.
Yeah, and they paid off in an envelope. They didn't, it's a little envelope. I wished I'd have saved some of them. I made $10 a week. And when I got married, my husband made $12.50 a week. I worked in the spinning room for 50 years.
How much did you make when you first started to work?
Oh, honey, I can't remember. There's a lot of things I can't remember.
You'll be back in a minute.
But I remember all the stores they had down here before they moved any of them.
Were you born here in town in Coolamy?
No, I was born in Surrey County, and I moved to North Coolamy when I was about 5 years old. I lived up there till my grandmother died up there, and then I moved to Coolamy and moved down here on, I first moved to Watt Street in the end house there. And then I moved down here on Main Street. And I got, went to work in the mill when I was 14.
Wasn't Daddy born out in Gladstone?
Yeah.
She asked me that. I couldn't think. He was born about a mile.
No, he was born at South River.
He was. The family all lived out there.
Yeah, they all lived at Gladstone.
No. Do you know, why did your family move to Coolamy?
Why?
Why did the family move to Coolamy?
I don't know why they moved, but my husband's father worked in a tobacco factory.
Why did your family move?
Well, my grandfather, I lived with my grandfather. He worked in the mill, and we moved to Coolamy. And I started school at North Coolamy, and I walked from North Coolamy to this old schoolhouse up here to go to school. And I quit school in the 5th grade. Oh, excuse me.
Did you want to quit?
No, I just quit. And they didn't make me go back. And then later I went to work. I felt like, I had to go to work, so I went to work when I was 14. But all these places that used to be down here all moved. There used to be a drugstore, a cafe, a shoe shop, and a hall, a POS of A hall
Union Hall.
upstairs. The POS of A and Redmond met up there.
Yeah.
And on the other side,
Union Hall.
Yeah, they had a union hall.
This plant was unionized. It unionized sometime in the
Well, it was just a hall, but the POSA and Redmond
Down the 30s.
met up there.
Can you tell, this place got unionized in the 30s?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was TWA. Textile Workers Union.
Daddy was telling us about Papa helping to organize the union. Do you remember that? Do you remember some of the union work that he did?
No, I don't think.
That's
He
how
was-
he made supervisor, Mother.
He was in the union, and they promoted him to supervisor, and then he had to get out of the union, and that's when I had to go in and go to work when they was on strike because he was supervisor.
Why,
But he was working with the union
why did they make him a supervisor?
because he was in the union.
Yeah, he was he helped organize that
Yeah,
union.
he was
And they wanted him out of the union.
They got him out of the union.
Yeah, okay.
That's why they got him out of the union, because he was the supervisor.
Now,
This was a complete feudal town back in those days.
a complete what?
A completely feudal town. A company owned town. Everything. He had the company store and everything. And if you had any trouble with anybody or anything, you didn't go to law. You went to the superintendent of the mill.
And we rented these company houses. A 4-room house rented for $1 a week. A smaller house, 3-room house, rented for 50 cents a week. And all of the houses were owned by the company. They took the rent and all out of your paycheck.
You were telling me that, you were saying that there was a union hall down there.
Yeah, yeah.
So now this was in the early 30s? Do you remember?
Yeah. I guess that Union Hall was down there then. Like I say, I was just a kid in the 30s. But that Union Hall was there, I know.
Well, they met over the cafe down there, and there was another hall across the street
On the other side.
up over the J. and Ledford store, and there was another hall up there. There was a library up there at one time. There was a beauty shop up there at one time, and then there was this hall.
But the Union Hall was up there. That's where
Union Hall was over the old cafe.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
had their union meetings up there, and when they had a grievance or something, you know, that went to arbitration, that's where they held the arbitration cases and everything up there in that old union.
Did you work in the mill yourself?
Oh yeah,
What did you do?
I was supervisor too. But during the time that I worked in there, you know, doing things, I was shop steward and everything in the mill. And was pretty not real active in it, but I was shop steward.
Now this is in the 40s now, right?
Yeah, in the 40s. Late 40s, after World War II. They were on strike when I came back.
I hope I never have to live through another strike. I don't guess I will.
Now, when your oldest son was 11, you were 11 then,
Yeah.
right? So you were 9?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you have these two boys, they're 11 and they're 9. And now you're working in the mill as a spinner?
Yes,
So this is around, well, maybe this will help your memory. Roosevelt came into office.
no, I didn't understand
Remember? Ask
You
her about-
remember when Roosevelt came into office?
it. Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, all I can say about that is he brought up this Social Security business.
That's when things got better in textile towns.
Yeah.
Roosevelt got in.
But Irving Mills, they was pretty good to us.
There's my man.
That's what I told her, that Irving Mills as a whole was better than a lot of your textile towns.
Yeah. Things really got rough later on in the mill. When I quit work and retired, I was running 36 sides of spinning. When I went to work, of course it was different frames. They had old frames when I went to work. I was running 5 and 6 sides. And they had these new frames when I retired, and I was running 36.
That's your stopwatch, kid.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know back then, but a lot of that now is better machinery.
Yeah.
You know, the machinery is able to do more by itself, so therefore you can run more of it.
That's
You
what
know,
they,
like you
that's
used
what
to
they
have.
said.
Yeah, you used to have those old C5 looms and that kind of thing, and you know they didn't have many looms to run. Where now in our plant they've got like those they're sour looms. You know, they've just about doubled the amount of looms that they can run because the loom itself can do more.
Yeah.
When did they start adding more machines on to your load?
After Burlington took over, they put in new machines, and everything was different. The way we sit in roving, everything was different, and they started adding more work to us.
Well, didn't they add more to you when they had the Stevens system there? When they put the Stevens system in and started stopwatching you and so forth?
I can't remember too much about that, Charlie,
They added more to you then, I can tell you
but
that.
they started adding to us more and more after Burlington took over and they put this new machinery in.
Did they add more to you after you went on 8 hours? Remember when Roosevelt came in with the NRA, the Blue Eagle, they went from 12 hours to 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That was in 33.
when I got 16, I could work 10 hours.
Right.
But when I first went to work, I could just work 8 because I wasn't at 15.
Now, when Roosevelt came into office, did everybody have to go to an 8-hour job, to an 8-hour shift?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Did they put more work on you then?
Well, no, not really.
I wonder, you might have heard people say how things changed when they went on a shorter work day. Did things change in the mill when the hours shifted?
Yes, everything changed.
Could you tell us about that? Do you remember hearing about that, Charlie?
No,
What, Charlie?
she was talking about when they switched from
Yeah.
That's when the minimum wage came in.
right.
That's when they changed the law. I reckon that you could work. No, I don't guess that was it. But you had to be 16 to work 10 hours. And
Roosevelt was the best thing that ever happened to the textile people.
a lot of people didn't think so.
Well, they thought they did.
Sometime after Roosevelt came in was a lot of people talk about a stretch out that happened in the mills because they were working lesser hours than before, but they still needed to make production. Do you remember anything about that?
That's when
They put on another shift or anything like that?
Oh yeah, they went to 8-hour shifts after Roosevelt.
Yeah.
That was part of the.
Okay, before he came in, did they just run one 10-hour shift or did the mill run around the clock?
They run one 12.
They just run one 10-hour shift, didn't
Was
it?
it 10? I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then after he came in, did they change and make like 2 shifts or what did they do?
They run 2 shifts,
Okay,
2 8-hour shifts.
okay.
I don't remember when they switched to the third shift.
I don't know.
No, I don't
During
either.
the war, I think.
No.
You know, when they were pushing for production during the war, I think that's when they really went to 3 shifts.
in the 30s, right? Your husband what was he working as?
He's one.
In the 30s, what did Papa do in the mill in the 30s?
He was a dolpher till he got promoted to, what was it?
Fixer?
Spinner or fixer or something.
Fixer.
Like that.
He started out as a dolpher,
Then he went to a fixer.
and then he went to
A fixer.
something else.
He was a fixer.
Well, he was something besides a fixer. He wasn't a
Section man.
section man. That's it.
But that was
What did a section man do?
Well, he was told somebody else kind of what to do.
Was he like a supervisor?
Yeah,
or
something like a
Oh,
supervisor.
yeah,
Or you
he
just
wasn't
had-
salaried or nothing.
Wasn't
Oh, okay. Oh.
Now, during that strike in 34, was he a section man then?
No, he was he was to start with. He was into the union, and they wanted him out because he had influence with some of the people in the union. They wanted him out of the union. They promoted him.
well, that was not in 34.
Well, I don't know when it was, but I know it was during the strike.
I know it was during the strike, but in 34 he was a dolpher.
Well, I guess he was a dolphin when we got married.
That's right. He was a dolpher until he made that section man, which was really a fixer is all it was. He was a fixture of so many frames. He had so many spinning frames to look after. If something went wrong with them, he fixed them with a wrench. And then he went into supervision.
Yeah. He went into
You gotta think.
He went into supervision during the strike.
That was the strike though, right after.
That was
the war.
after the war, Mother.
Yeah, I know it's a strike.
What she is concerned with is the strike of 34 and up until Roosevelt went in. Between
I
34
can't remember
and
too much
40.
about no 34 strike.
Okay, Daddy was telling us
Let's not all
That-
get
That's
This
when the
plant-
National Guard come in.
this plant didn't go on strike. They had the National Guard out here to protect the people so they could go to work. And he said that they had a group that came in from Kannapolis or somewhere, and they saw the
Greensboro.
National Guard, and they went back home. You remember that?
I remember the National Guard.
Yeah.
What they did, Cindy, down to the bottom of the hill there where the town used to be, the National Guard set up down there, set their trucks and things up down there, and those strikers came right down this street. And when they got down to the bottom of the hill, the National Guard turned them right up Davies Street, back out to 801 and followed them out of town. That's one incident I
Yeah.
remember.
Now, I had heard, I don't know who I was talking to, but I had heard that the National Guard was over there on the bridge at one time.
I don't remember. I do
You remember that?
being down here at the bottom of the hill.
The old mill yard. They actually had sandbags and a machine gun set up in that mill yard.
How long did they stay there?
I don't know till this business of out-of-towners coming in here was over with.
I can't remember what they called us.
Flying squadron?
Yeah, that's what it's flying something. Yeah, they were flying something.
Did you see him fly in?
Like I say now, I wasn't 4 or 5 years old, and I don't remember too much about it. I do remember those guards being here.
Is this
They-
starting to bring memories back to you now?
I don't remember the 34 guards. I remember the last ones that was here when they had the last strike. When I had to go walking through all them people, I remember that.
You don't remember the time when they were having, like, strikes all over the South?
No.
They were having them in Kannapolis, and they had a big one publicized in Georgia. They showed newsreels, you know, like in the theaters of what was
No.
going on. You don't remember that?
No.
Okay.
Only I remember the one they had here. But I hope I never live through another one.
That's the only one she's ever worried about is the one where her and Nell and some of them
Yeah, where they had to go to
they had
work.
to go to work.
They had to go to work.
But I wonder though, I mean, it seems like your mother would have had to go to work in 34 too. Unless she wasn't working then.
No. She wouldn't have had to go then.
They weren't on strike.
If they'd have been on strike, she wouldn't have had to go then because Daddy was just a dolphin, which is not supervision.
I see.
She had to go when she's talking about because Daddy was a supervisor.
Yeah, but
And
Charlie,
they made her walk through all those people and everything.
they didn't make him a supervisor till the strike.
Yeah. But
Because,
it was the 40s strike.
because
Yeah, the
he,
first strike
Yeah.
year, I think, was around.
because he was
1945,
working with the union,
Yeah.
and they wanted him out of the
Yeah.
union.
That's what Daddy told us.
And they made him a
Right after-
supervisor, then you had to get out,
Really
Yeah.
pushing
And I
Get
had
the
to go-
job, right?
and I had to go in.
Yeah.
They told him it was either I come in or it was his job.
Whew.
Yeah, they did. They said that. But when she's talking about
Yeah.
is in 45 or 46 somewhere, later than that.
I was washing blinds, and he come home from the mill. He said, "You've got to go to work." And I started crying. I didn't want to go to work. He said, "They told me if I didn't bring you in, I wouldn't have no job." So I had to march myself down there.
That sounds like it was pretty frightening.
Was it scary?
Yeah. I sure was. Me and,
Yeah, they were on strike.
and another woman, we'd meet down at the gate,
I didn't do nothing.
Sadie Thompson. We met down at the gate and we'd walk through all those strikers.
Does Sadie Thompson still live around here?
Pardon?
She's in a nursing.
She's in a nursing home.
And what about that other woman that you just mentioned?
That was her.
Yeah, it was Sadie and you.
Yeah.
Her and Sadie met down at the gate.
Her husband was the supervisor too, or some kind of boss. And me and her had to go, she worked in the spinning room, and me and her had to go, both of us had to go to work.
Now, who took care of your boys when you were working all those years?
Well, they stayed with their grandma some.
Kids pretty well took care of themselves
That's
in
right.
those days.
Yeah. Charlie took care of them.
I was the oldest. You can't tell it by
How many children did you
And
have?
my husband, sometimes we didn't work different. I mean, we worked different shifts. He was on one shift and I was on another sometimes. When he was on different shifts, he took care of them. Then he was mostly on the afternoon shift and I was on morning shift. So we just split taking care of them.
Now, is this the house that your father got when he was a supervisor?
This is a supervisor's house, but it's not the one he had. This is a supervisor's house, and the one across the straight down the road a little bit is the supervisor's house. The others are all up one street, up
We lived in the
Marginal
house.
Street.
Marginal.
I'll take it through there.
They were all supervisor's house.
We lived in the house down the street and they moved it.
They moved. These houses used to go all the way down the hill, and they moved some out on that side.
Yeah, Mom and Dad bought this house when the company sold them in 1950.
I've been living in this house, I guess, 35 years, ain't I?
I don't know, a long time.
I think 35 years I've been living in this house.
And right out here is where I was telling you about the company had this recreation area to start with. It was right out there. Right there where our water tank is.
And was there a school right around here too?
It's about a mile up the road.
And
The
what did,
old schoolhouse, one back in 1930, is gone.
that was here right in the village?
Yeah.
Right, same place the one is right
Oh,
now.
I see.
About a mile.
And was there a church
Oh, they had plenty of churches.
There's 7 churches in this town.
in Coolman?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, was there one that the church supported?
No.
You know, we had talked
I
to
mean,
some
that the
people
company owned.
that the company owned the church.
No.
You know, some people in some mill towns, the company even owned the church.
They didn't own the
That
church
didn't happen
here.
here.
I don't
Not
know.
even back in the 30s. That
No.
like that.
No.
They owned the land, I think. I don't know where they
They probably owned the Baptist church that burned the land, but they didn't own the church.
Well, they own the land, Mama, because they built a new house on it after church.
That's right,
burned
they
down.
own the land.
I think I just wanted to get to introduce myself today, and would it be okay if I came back here with Cindy again?
Would it be okay if we come back here tomorrow
Yeah,
Okay.
with a crew, a film crew?
sure.
All of us get together and talk like we have today,
That suits me.
okay?
Okay.
She didn't want to, she wanted to get a little bit of background, you know, as to what was going on. She don't want us to have to, you know, talk about it all today and then tomorrow too.
Well, I'll tell you, I can't remember too much.
Now, do any of your friends still?
But I remember a lot. I got married in 1920. And I've been married 70, first day of September, I've been married 70 years.
Long time.
Long time.
That was in 20. So by 1934, you married 14 years. September 1st was the day the strike. Her anniversary was the first day of the national strike.
Yeah.
I used to, when I went to work in the cloth room, this man that worked in there, his Homer cigarettes, and I had to go out at 4 o'clock. He'd come over at the window and raise the window and holler, "Look at the little baby has to go home," because I wasn't 16.
Were
Did
there,
they give you a hard time?
And I was married.
Really?
Because I worked in the cloth room till I got married. And I was married, I don't know how long, but anyway, after I got married, I got a transfer to the spinning room. I thought I had to get up there where my husband was. So I got a transfer up there, and I learned to spin. And I worked up there 50 years.
What'd you do to get your transfer?
Well, you just had to go through the
Did you have to go to the
bosses
superintendent?
and have permission.
Oh.
It wasn't no problem.
Jim, I told her about running that mess at family, all because the girl got pregnant. You remember that?
Yeah.
And
Remember why?
about me getting caught stealing peanuts, and Daddy had to go to the superintendent. I didn't worry about the law.
You got caught stealing watermelons too, didn't you?
Peanuts.
Peanut.
do you remember that, Jim?
I remember about them stealing them peanuts or whatever it was, old young old man bag.
Yeah, it was.
I remember these old,
Superintendent making my daddy whip my butt because I run out in front of the company dump truck and wrecked it.
Oh,
I
no.
wrecked it, keep running over me.
we had these old outdoors toilets. Didn't have no water. Had a well in the middle of the street. Had a spigot across the street down there where we lived. And Charlie had to carry water for me to scour the front porch from a spigot across the street. And we'd go out there to that old outhouse and look down in there and it'd be full of worms.
Ooh.
I don't remember what year they put sewage in this town.
We were little.
And when they put those toilets and water and all in this house, come up this street, it was the awfulest mess you ever seen. They just tore up the road and everything, putting in sewage.
They had faucets out on the road. You know, every 4 or 5 houses maybe. They have one out there on the road, a big one. You go out there and pump your water and bring it in the house. And had outside bathrooms.
Huh.
And that was the first sewage system.
That was the
That was
first.
when they put in the sewage. They did like that.
Well, no, those they put those outside faucets out there. They were out there. I don't know. I don't remember them. When they put the sewage in, then they put water in the houses and everything too. All right.
Oh, okay.
They done it all at one time, all right.
Then later on, they sheetrocked these houses, some of them. And if they fixed them up, sheetrocked them, the rent went up to $1 a room.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In other words, where you were paying $1 for your house, you'd be paying $4 if they had fixed it up.
Did you ask them to fix it up, or did they just fix it up on their own?
If you was a supervisor or any kind of boss man, they fixed up the house.
Oh, and
We lived down there on Main Street.
then,
In that house they moved. They come up there one morning, said they come up there to sheetrock the house.
So you didn't have any choice about it?
I didn't know nothing about it.
Is that wild or what?
Well, like I say, it's company-dominated town.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's what they're looking for, the company towns.
It was almost as bad as Kannapolis, not quite as bad.
Well, tell me about Kannapolis.
Well, Kannapolis ain't been many years ago that before they, that Cannon Mills got out of housing and everything business down there.
I think Cannon people I don't think, of course it was locally owned by the Cannon family, but I don't believe they were as well treated as people in Coolman were. I think for a textile town, Coolman was probably as well treated as any of them.
There used to be an old grist mill here, they called it, down there across the river. And down below where the company warehouse is now, there used to be a grocery store, and a clothing store, and a bank, and a theater, and a post office.
Now, all those things, I guess, were run by the mill.
No, they were owned by the mill. Nothing but the store was actually run by the theater was owned. The building was owned by the mill. The projector equipment and all was owned by the mill, but it was leased.
All the buildings were owned.
All the buildings and
All the buildings
everything.
were owned by the mill, wasn't it?
Yes. The cafe, everything was owned by the drugstore.
Everything was owned by the mill.
The service.
Who knew?
Sounds like it.
How'd you feel about that?
How'd you feel about that?
Oh, well, I was so young then, it didn't really make too much difference.
That's all she knew back then.
You didn't know anything better.
No,
Right?
no.
Was the union at that time trying to change that a little bit? Was that what they were trying
Yeah.
to do?
That's the reason I don't kick unions. Because I tell you what, they really helped the people in Coolman, the union did.
Not in my eye.
Oh, we had a strong union here.
Yeah, we had a strong.
Right after the war, when I was telling you I was in it, they had an 88% membership in this union down here. And if you went,
I ain't got no time for them. They made me go in and go to work. I ain't got no time for them.
The union didn't make you. The company made you go into work.
Well, if the union was the cause of it,
But the union was there to try to help you.
no, I don't know about that, but I had to go to work.
Here, if you got a job down here and went to work, they had 88% union members in there. There wouldn't nobody show you where the bathrooms at if you didn't join the union. They wouldn't show you nothing.
They didn't get a closed shop, but they
No.
had a big percentage
Well,
of people.
closed shops against the law in this state.
Well, it is now.
Yeah.
Everybody belongs.
It was then too, Cindy.
Was it?
Taft Hartley,
Well, you have what? You have a closed shop and a
closed shop is where you can't work down there if you don't have a union, and that's always been against the law. And,
well, a closed shop is where you can't get a job. You can't even get a job unless you belong to a union. There's another word. I think it's an open shop. You go to work, and after so long, you have to join the union within like 30 days or something like that, or you don't have a job. But the closed shop meant that you had to, if you wanted a job in the mill, you had to go to the union hall and join the union, and then you could
That's
get
right.
a job.
Well, I never did join the union, and there's a lot of them that work down there that belong to the union wouldn't even speak to me,
Really?
but I never did join it.
That's what the Taft Hartley Act done. You know, there were federal laws where they could have closed shops, but the Taft Hartley, with state laws, there were federal labor laws.
Yeah.
Now,
So then again, it was against But the law to have closed shop in this place.
Yeah.
Your husband believed in it, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And he was working with it. But
Even when he was in it, you didn't believe in it?
no, I never believed in it.
Really?
No. I still don't believe in it.
I do.
Well, I don't. I
You
know
got
what.
one bitter thing in your mind because you had to go in and work
Yeah, and I
with
was
that.
called a scab dozens and
You
dozens
never
of
forget
times.
that, and you,
People wouldn't speak to me.
the Union did more for this town. The Union and Roosevelt did more for this town than anything that's ever happened to it.
Yeah, not mine, not the
You're
union.
down there working for nothing, white slaves till the Union got into this town.
We worked for nothing.
That's right.
I wish that I'd have saved one of my pay slips, but I didn't. But we get them every week in a little long envelope, $9, $10, something like that.
That was after your rent and everything come out of your check.
Yeah.
Before.
Of course, didn't nothing come out of mine because it didn't have all this insurance and stuff. And of course, the house rent and everything come out of Adam's check.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I ain't got no time for him.
I don't think we're gonna gain anymore.
Okay. Do you have any friends in town? Still women, men around here that were working with you back then?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Very few. Very few.
Very
Mama.
few.
Very few.
People that were working with you, Mother, do you remember any of them?
Yes.
That are still alive.
But
Still living.
most of them are dead.
Living, she wants.
In the cloth room, I remember definitely 3 people.
They're
Zeb's,
living,
and they're dead.
she don't want them.
You can't talk to them.
We want to go talk to them, Mama.
Well, Sadie Thompson, you can't talk to her because she's in a nursing home.
Anybody that you remember that's still
No,
alive?
all that I ever worked with is either dead or in nursing homes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Cindy Harold Foster could probably give you a lot of information.
Yeah.
Who's
Harold
that?
Foster.
Harold Foster, he is head of the union,
He was business agent.
business
Union
agent for the
years.
union.
How old is he?
He's
60, probably.
Well, I'll tell you one that I did work with that's not dead,
Who's that?
and that's Lillian Spry.
Is she in a nursing home?
Uh,
she's with the.
she, me and her worked in the spinning room.
Can't hear.
She's staying out at Fred Pierce's.
Really?
And she's the only one that I can remember that I worked with. And let's see, Mary Peacock down here. I worked with her.
I'd be a good one to talk to, because Mary is in still fairly good health.
And about all the rest of them are, that I can remember are dead.
Now, Harold Foster. He's a little older than you were?
Mm-hmm.
Was he living there in those days? Was he born here too?
I believe so.
What, Charlie?
Harold Foster, he was born around here. He'd been here the biggest part of his life. He's been
I
here,
guess he was.
he's been
yeah.
here 60 years. I believe he was born here.
Okay. That strike was 56 years ago, but he might know something.
Well, like I said, the union was not formed not in 34.
They were trying.
I,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they might have been trying. I really don't think, me and Jim was trying to think a while ago when this union, I think this union really started at around when
They were coming trying to keep people, they were here trying to keep people from striking. You know, like people coming from different towns trying to get y'all to strike in this mill.
Yeah.
You remember anything about that?
No, I remember people coming here.
Yeah. Did anybody talk to you?
No,
No.
they talked to my husband.
Were you working? You were
Yeah.
working then, weren't you?
Yeah.
And so when they talked to him, did he start
He
trying
was
to,
into the union.
did he start trying to organize people here when
Yeah.
they started coming and talking to him?
Yeah. That's when they got him out of it.
I don't think this union actually went in during the war. Because I
Okay.
know I thought I joined it before I left, but I didn't. I joined it right after I went back to work. I went back to work in 46.
That's when the union was already formed then, but I joined it in '46.
And do you have any idea how long your daddy was a supervisor by then? Just
He made, I don't know whether he made it during the war or right after the war.
But your recollection of him using that gun at the time is in the earlier. That's in 34.
That was in 34.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's down.
Yeah.
We got that.
Oh,
Okay.
That's interesting, huh?
Huh?
I sure don't remember that.
Daddy had that little 32 pistol, Mama, and the men in Coolme here, before the National Guard got in here, the people had to stand guard around here. They had to stand guard up on the dam to keep them from coming in here, busting the dam. And Daddy was one of them.
I can't
Then the
remember.
National Guard come in, and they didn't need them anymore.
Can't remember that.
Well, he did.
I got half my stuff put back yet. Old pictures and slides and didn't have any movies back then.
Weren't there some movies? I heard tell that there was a movie that was made here in Coolum.
Yeah, well, this is a tape and it is a movie. It's narrated, but it starts off college professors from Duke and University of North Carolina telling about conditions in the South and all that, and then about cotton mill villages, and then it starts showing local stuff, you know, and they're interviewing old people like me and a bunch of others here in Coolum about what happened. Then they're showing a lot of my stuff, newspaper clippings and all. I was also a photographer, a licensed photographer back in those days.
You were.
Hmm.
Now, when were you taking pictures? I guess in the 40s?
No, not in the 40s. I was in service in the 50s and 60s.
Did you know anybody taking pictures back in the 30s?
No, not really.
But you were going to tell me.
Cameras were pretty rare back then. Even a little old box camera, too many people didn't even own them.
You know, do me a favor. Tell me your name and your address and where we are, and then we'll continue.
My name is Harold Foster, and
Foston?
Foster, Foster, and we're talking at my home at 64 Duke Street in Coolum, and
That's fine.
and I'm 69 years old, soon be 70.
Were you born here in town?
Yeah, I was born here. I was born right out of Coolum. They call it North Coolum now. But I grew up here. I don't even remember that. I grew up here in Coolum.
Can you tell me and Cindy how your family came to be here in Coolum?
How what?
Did your family come from the farm?
No. Well, my father originally came, you know, his family from a farm. He helped build the mill down here around 1900. And they would drive wagons up to the top of the mill. It's a 3-story building, you know. And they had the scaffolds around the building. I remember him telling about driving supplies up to the top of the mill, you know, while they're working on the mill. And then when he got the mill running, he went to work in the mill.
What did he do? What did your father do?
In the mill, he worked in the card room. He was a fixer in the card room.
Okay, and you were just about to tell me about that strike in 34.
Well, all I could.
Was your daddy involved in that?
Well, that's what I was fixing to tell you. Well, in a sense, but actually, there was no strike. They never, anyone, as far as I can remember, no one ever from the other towns ever came to Coolum. It was just rumors that they were coming and going to tear the fence down. They had a wire fence in front of the mill, and the gate where they went in and out, 2 gates. And the rumor was they was coming here, and then they even got around to the name a certain date, the week that they were coming, you know. And the whole, that was the talk, that's all my daddy would talk about, and all the other men where I lived over on Joyner Street at the time. Anyway, they picked certain people to be gate captains. My dad was one of them. And the mill ordinarily went to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he was required to be at the plant at 5 o'clock. And I don't even know whether they paid him for it or not, but anyway, he had to be down there an hour before work time in case of any trouble. I don't know what they would have done if it had been any. Best I can remember, he wasn't armed, but maybe there was. I was pretty small. But anyway, everything got hot and heavy about it, you know, and that was the talk. Then they were having troubles, you know. I guess you know about Gastonia, where those people were killed, company goons. And they, whoever was governor at the time, called the National Guard out.
Erringhouse.
And they came here. And they had machine guns on top of the plant. Well, remember, there was nothing going on here. I mean, no trouble here, but they were
People didn't
anticipating it. No, they didn't walk out. And on what we call the old square, which is tore down now, they had sandbag, I remember that, machine gun right in the middle of the square. And some of those boys that was in the National Guard stayed here, married local women. I think one of them married somebody in your family,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah.
And that's about the extent of the 34 thing that I remember. But nothing happened. Nothing happened here. It was all somewhere else.
Well, now.
But the thing about that, from what I can find out, after I was business agent of the union here for 20 years, and you heard a lot about that strike and the troubles then.
You heard a lot about the 34th strike?
Oh yeah, you know, from old people and union organizers and representatives that I met over the years talking about it. And that was one of the things actually in organizing that they used, you know, how they were treated the people. But the amazing thing about that strike's always bothered me that there wasn't striking for more money. They were striking for human dignity, just to be recognized as human beings, because they didn't treat people as such then. They own you lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah.
They own the companies, but they would build the little mill villages, and you lived in their house and you worked in their plant. If you didn't do what they said, you lost your job, and jobs were mighty hard to find. People had to live and support the family. And that was what they were striking for. They just wasn't, they wasn't asking for more money. That's what the information I have is all I've read about. I've read books on it and everything else. It always amazed me that they would strike over something like that, you know. But of course, that was the offshoot of the modern unions that finally sprung up in the South. They were few and far between, even at that. There never was about 30% organized, if that much.
Now, there was a lot of activity, from what I understand, over here in Salisbury. That a lot of the mills went out in Salisbury. They walked out and they had big meetings over there.
Salisbury?
Yeah. Did you hear much about that?
Most of what I heard about was, Cannon controlled the big plant in Salisbury and Kannapolis and all, and as far as I know, they never was involved in it. I remember Gastonia and Mooresville and was it Cherryville, someplace. Well, I'm not saying it didn't
Yeah,
happen
sure.
in Salisbury, but I just don't recall.
I'm just
Salisbury.
wondering if at that time was Coolumay, would people from Coolumay get up and go over there to Salisbury? Would that be happening, or did they kind of keep separate?
I don't know. Did
I never heard anything about it.
did a lot of people? Oh, what do you mean? Did they go to like
I'm
social events or something
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, I wonder if people from
Was going to come here. Now there might have been some come here, but not great big bunches of them. And that was what the National Guard and everything was brought in for. But really, I don't remember enough about all that. But I'm just telling you what I can remember and what I heard after that. But Salisbury could have been involved now, but I don't recall Salisbury really.
How do you recall your father talking about this at all?
Oh yeah.
What was he
Well,
saying?
God, that's all they talked about there for a long time. Well, they were just concerned about what would happen if they showed up and all that, but they didn't show up. Not to my knowledge. I mean, I know no large groups did because he was involved in it. And finally, they licked him, of course, and they all went back to work, and that was the end of it. Then when the labor unions tried to make a dent into it then, to get in to organize them. They had some luck in some places, but my understanding was that the plants that were involved in the 34 strike, only a few of them were ever organized. It was the other plants that wasn't involved in it that mainly got organized.
I mean, later on.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Now, tell me
They
about,
organized the first union here in '39, and they got their first contract in '41. And I went to work in the mill when I was 16 in '37, and sometime after that is when they organized. And I know they came around wanted me to sign a card, which I did. And
what did they tell you? What did they tell you at the time?
that they were just trying to form a union. Then they were talking about better pay and better working conditions. But that had nothing to do with the 34 strike, where it's more of a spontaneous thing, the way I understand it. They just got fed up the way they were treated. But when they organized, that was just a standard organizing effort in better wages, better working conditions, more security, what you use in any organizing campaign. That's what they were using here at the time.
39.
Yeah, the company, you didn't have the National Labor Relations Board then either to come in and conduct elections like you do now. They recognized the union, and
Was it?
they were negotiating, and they would agree to go by certain things that they'd agreed on before they ever had a written contract. The written contract was finally in '41, and then I went into service, and I didn't come out to '46.
Cindy, what do you think of the fact that they? Could you tell us about your campaign in '39?
I can't tell you anything about it. It was just local people. The organizers came in. I don't know who they were or anything like that. I was just a young boy, 16 years old. And they formed a committee, of people that was interested in forming a union here in Cuba, in each department. And they were the ones that was organizing and getting local people mostly done all the organizing themselves. They just go around on the job, and talk to each worker, and you sign a union card. That's what I did. They didn't have to talk to me long. I was young and I was ready for more money and better working conditions because I worked ass off back in those days.
Weren't you afraid of what the company would do?
At 16 years old, wasn't afraid of nothing. Now, people that had families and responsible people, yeah, I guess they were, a lot of them were reluctant to join and all, but they finally did. When I became business agent of the union in 49, eventually we had 95% of the people that belonged to the union. At our peak, had 1,500 members at one time. And that's a lot of union members,
Certainly
practically all of them. And the ones that did belong, we didn't route them and all that. Most of them, it was for religious beliefs. And you had some old people that were tied, you know, they wouldn't even buy a newspaper and anything like that. Just always had to grow up being tight, I guess. They couldn't get out of it, and they just didn't want to pay the dues, which were very low then. But
No.
nobody threatened them or anything like that. It was.
I'm just surprised that a union was able to get in so easily after just a couple of years later after that.
Well, this is like now and 20 years from now, and now and 20 years before now, times change. People got a little more bold, you might want to call it, because after they passed the 40-hour work week, the minimum wage laws, and well, people felt a little more secure about things.
They had that 34 strike after they passed the 40-hour work week.
Oh Lord, no, honey, that hadn't come around nowhere. They had no laws whatsoever then to protect the workers. In 34, I know I didn't make 40 cents an hour. Well, I worked down there a couple months or something. I don't remember how much.
So what made you join the union? What prompted you to join the union?
At 16 years old, you forgetting how my age is at the time. I was 16 years old. I'd have joined the Ku Klux Klan, I guess, if they'd come up and asked me, which I hate now.
It's raining.
The phone is.
It's raining.
It's raining.
Yeah, I'm gonna go put those windows.
Raining again. It looked like it rained when I got up. Well, everybody else was joining, and you know, I was just following. I had no knowledge of things like that at the time.
And what'd your daddy think about it?
Well, he thought it was a good thing, and but he was like a lot of people. He was reluctant, you know, and wondering what action the company would take against them if they joined. And yeah, it is.
Did your father join too? Did your daddy join too?
Did you what?
Did your father join also?
Oh yeah. And Coolman had it was a show place for textile unions. About the time I became business agent in the union, I went back to work in the plant after the war, and somehow or another I got to be a registrar here in Coolman, handle elections. So the international representative for Coolman was service 3 or 4 unions, was elected to the General Assembly in Raleigh. And there was another fellow in Coolman, they wanted to make a business agent in his place. And so at that time I was a shop steward, I believe it was. Then he was, they decided to leave that fellow where he was. Anyway, the business agent here went on the staff, international staff, and they voted me in after I agreed I would take it. just because I had that little job, they thought I was qualified, which I didn't know from Dookie about a union. But anyway, I was elected business agent in '49.
No.
Talking about.
Well, one of them was 4. I remember the 6-week or 6-month strike. That 6 week when I was in service at the time, and when I came home, they were still out on strike. But the only couple of weeks after I got home, they went back to work. And because I remember when I come in, I asked my dad if they needed any, if they had enough to eat and everything was getting along all right. He said, "Come in the kitchen, I want to show you. You got more darn food in the grocery store here," where they got it a union commissary, and they give them a ration of food every week. There's no one but him and my mother, and they just gathered up a bunch of stuff, extra food, and
I have found in a lot of the other places that I've been to an incredible amount of fear amongst people to the idea of having a union and having a union in it that stood up to the company. That was something that people were terribly afraid of, and I'm so surprised that Coolumay was able to do that then. Where was the fear?
it wasn't as